This is The Drive with Dale Lolley and Matt Williamson on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. SNR, Steelers Nation Radio.
And welcome to The Drive. I am Dale Lolley here with Matt Williamson. It is scheduled release day. We don't have the Steelers schedule yet, but and we're not going to talk about any speculation that has been thrown out there.
Sure.
The only thing we do know is that they're going to play in Ireland in Week 4.
We do know that. Against the Minnesota Vikings.
Yes.
We know the opponent.
Yeah.
We know the opponents.
We don't know
the other stuff, but tonight will be exciting. Check us out. We're going to be doing a show with Mike Pursuta at 8 o'clock this evening.
At that point, we will know.
We will know. Boom, and it'll hit, and you can
Justin,
get our immediate
will that be
reactions.
Simulcast on SNR?
It'll definitely be on TV. I don't know that answer.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Justin does not know the answer whether that will be simulcast. We will have it on the flagship. I would imagine they might simulcast that. I would think so.
I would think so. Right.
So you'll be able to hear that as everything. We'll get our
break
immediate
that down.
reaction.
Yeah. Can't wait.
What we do know is who the opponents are.
Okay.
So the home games, they get the Ravens, they get the Bengals, they get the Browns.
Yes.
The Bills, the Packers, the Colts, the Dolphins, the Vikings, and Seahawks.
Okay.
On the road, they got the Ravens, the Bengals, and the Browns. Chicago, Detroit, Los Angeles Chargers, New England, and the Jets.
Okay. So, a couple things. Would you want – I'm thinking about weather off the bat. Miami, I think you'd love for them to come here as late as possible.
Yes, sometime later in the season. You don't want to go there
I mean,
early.
if you're ever going there, you don't want to go there in September. Their winning percentage in September
Except
is great.
they're here.
I know.
Yeah.
But so I think
if
the
I'm
opposite
looking
is
at
true.
it from that respect, the games that I want to play early on my schedule, I want New England early.
See, I was going to phrase it like this, like Chicago, New England, Cleveland. They could be like the nastiest cities out there.
And let's look at this from a new coach, new quarterback perspective as well.
Okay.
I want the Jets early.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Yeah. I want the Patriots early. New head coach.
Yeah, but it's Vrabel. Yeah,
rookie-ish head quarterback, though.
That one doesn't bother me as much. Vrabel knows what he's doing.
New offensive coordinator and everything.
True.
So it's they're still learning there. Doesn't matter when you play the Lions because they're indoors.
Right. But they have two new coordinators.
Yeah.
They could have some upheaval.
I wouldn't love playing Chicago later in the year out there.
You talking about weather?
Yeah.
See, that's what I was going to say real quick is at Browns, at Patriots, at Bears, weather is always an issue in those towns.
Yeah.
Would you rather play them in garbage weather or clean weather?
Well, you're a better team than Patriots.
I think you're a better team than Patriots and Browns.
Yeah.
And that levels the playing field.
That levels the playing field.
Right.
Bears versus Steelers is arguable.
Mm-hmm. And we're looking ahead, obviously.
Yeah.
Right.
But again, they're a new head coach.
New head coach. I wouldn't mind playing them early.
Right.
Yeah.
In terms of the teams that you've got coming here, and it doesn't matter, again, when you play the Chargers, same thing.
Yeah,
it's
no big
basically
deal. Right.
indoors. The teams
that's there.
Yeah.
Which there'll be a lot of Steeler fans at.
A lot of Steeler fans.
Right.
Your Bengals, your Ravens, your Browns games here really don't matter all that much in terms of that. Bills,
it's not new or unusual, yeah.
Bills, they're not going to be affected by the weather one way or the other. The Packers aren't going to be affected one way or the other by the weather. The Colts could be.
The
Dolphins most certainly would be.
Yes.
Vikings we know is going to be in Ireland.
In Ireland, right.
And the Seahawks.
New coach, I wouldn't mind playing them early.
Yeah.
But man, not even.
Not new coach, but
second year, right?
New quarterback and a new system.
Yeah. I wouldn't look too much into that one, but fair enough. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Again, I don't think I'd love to go the Browns late.
It just always seems like they do.
Yeah, they always seem to. I mean, last year was crazy. Now, there are a couple of those
I don't know if
teams-
I've ever been to Cleveland when the weather's been nice.
I lived there for a whole year, and I don't think I would ever.
We've gone there in September. I'll never forget this game. I parked. I got out of my car, and the wind was blowing like 60 miles an hour.
Okay.
The entire
the wind is what blew me away.
Yeah, the entire walk into
Same
the
with
stadium.
Akron, as you would know, Justin, was crazy.
The wind is. I'm like, I can't believe how windy it is here. It's a nice. It was 80 degrees, but the wind was just.
That was all the time at Akron. Our parking lot was highest part of campus. It was really flat, and it wasn't that far a walk, but it was like fighting the wind, like leaning forward, trying to battle the wind, especially when it got cold. And he's over here shaking his head. He was a student there. It was brutal. Cleveland wasn't as bad because it wasn't as far a walk, but the wind is every bit as bad.
Yeah, constant.
Yeah. I think you'd like to play the Bengals early. They're a notorious slow starter.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not their specialty.
And we'll see what happens with Trey Hendrickson there. But those Bengals, Browns, Steelers game and Ravens games.
Yeah, everyone's been there, done it.
Yeah, it doesn't. Right. It doesn't really matter. I mean, you hate to play them all in one bunch like you did last year.
Right, but there's not new coaches, and I mean,
everybody knows
each other. Right. I'm not sure they matter all that much.
Yeah,
I'm sure that.
I wonder is this division? It has to be the one that has the longest tenured head coaches.
Oh, it has to be.
Has to be because Tomlin's number one.
I mean,
Harbaugh's
number two.
Number two.
I mean, those
and then
two
the other
alone,
two guys have been there for a good number of years now.
It has to be by far.
Yeah,
I mean, especially if you do it that way, like Tomlin's years plus Harbaugh's years, that in itself
blows everybody else.
That
away.
might blow.
But then the other two guys have both been there at least 5 years each.
Right. It's been a long time since there's been a coaching change.
Yeah,
and I bet every other division probably has had a coaching change in the last year or two.
So yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, it has to be the most stable division.
I think that's 100% true.
And so you know what to expect in those games. They're not going to throw none of these.
I mean, some of the quarterbacks have changed and things like that, and coordinators, but you definitely know the makeup of your opponent.
You know the tendencies. You know
the stadium you're playing in.
Yeah.
You know the weather. You know all that kind of stuff.
No surprises there.
No. And the fans know how to get there and travel and all that.
But I look at that schedule. Where do they go in the AFC North at worst? 3-3.
I think that's fair.
I mean,
I'd set it at like 3.5.
Yeah.
3 I think is. I wouldn't take 3 right now. But if you told me they're 4-2, I'd be like, yeah, I'll take it.
But then you look at some of their toughest games. You get the Bills here.
That's a lot better than going there.
You get the Packers here.
Yeah.
The Colts here is different from playing the Colts in Indianapolis.
Massively.
You get the Dolphins here.
Which is great.
I
would not want to go to Miami in September. Right.
The Vikings is a home game, but it's a non. And
but there's going to be a lot around that game, of course. We talked about that a lot yesterday.
And you get the Seahawks here.
Seattle's, their record doesn't reflect it, but I always think of that as a tough place to play. They have not been awesome at home the last handful of years.
Road trip.
Long road trip. The sound is really an issue there, too. Passionate fans. Often there's rain and weather in that area of the country, too. It's not Cleveland weather, but it's a different type. I think that's a tough place to play.
And really, if you look at your road games, playing the Jets and the Patriots on the road.
Mm-hmm. I don't think they're good football teams.
I don't think they're good football teams.
Right.
Chargers don't have a home field advantage.
No, you're going to have a home field advantage there. I believe
Detroit
that.
will be rocking.
I mean, how many people are going to make reservations to L.A. tonight at midnight or earlier?
Yeah, they're going to schedule that one.
Would you say the one after that
Detroit is...
That's going to be brutal.
That's going to be brutal.
Yeah.
Chicago...
Who knows? I mean, that fan base has not had a quarterback coach like in my lifetime or since Ditka.
Yeah.
If they're rolling, you get them at the right time, I could see it being a tough place to play. If they're playing well.
Yeah.
In their building.
But certainly those road games, I would rather play that slate of road games as opposed to playing at Buffalo, at Green Bay, at Indianapolis, at Miami, at Seattle.
I think Indianapolis is a good point. It's much different there than here.
Yeah.
They're a running team. It's not like they can't handle outdoors. But that dome is just weird things happen in that dome,
Yeah. So, all in all, I mean, the schedule's not, and we'll find out tonight where these games, when they'll be played.
Curious
where,
but when.
And,
when the short weeks are and all that kind of stuff.
But I don't think it's necessarily, I know the numbers say it's a tough schedule.
They say it's 24th easiest, which is, 8th hardest by Vegas odds. But
looking at this slate of teams as compared to, say, last year's slate of teams is night and day. Even the year before that, night and day.
Yeah, I don't see the Chiefs. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Bills are on both, right? I mean,
the
thing is, you're always going to play the division. Ravens twice is tough.
Right.
I mean, they're
Ravens,
going to be a top.
Bengals. Those are tough games.
Those are tough games.
But traditionally, the Steelers have at least split those games.
Right. I mean, they're not going to get swept by the Ravens year after year after year.
Right.
I mean, it just doesn't happen that way. So, I think there's 3 or 4 wins in the division. Maybe you stumble into 5. That's possible. I don't think it'll be 1 or 2.
I mean, they have the best division record since 2000 of anybody outside of Kansas City, I believe.
I think you're right. Yeah. They used to be New England high, but they're falling off.
They've fallen off. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that
so,
makes sense.
You found ways to win those games. I think a large part of that is Mike Tomlin knows how to coach against this particular group of guys.
People underestimate that phase of Harbaugh, Tomlin, Carroll when he was with Seattle, or these guys have been so. They know the teams. They know the way that they want to play. They know how the teams are structured from ownership down. They know they study their drafts. This is what are they trying to accomplish this year? Who'd they hire? I mean, why'd they hire this coordinator? Okay, they're going to try to be more vertical than they were, or whatever. But you can really get in each other's heads pretty well. I mean, it's definitely a chess match, and experience helps.
And health obviously plays a large factor in the whole thing as well. But I do believe that the Steelers, in terms of their depth overall, have built a pretty good roster.
Yeah, I think there's guys you can count on if top-level dudes fall.
Yeah. No, certainly. I mean, losing T.J. Watt or losing Cam Heyward is
starting quarterback, or Metcalf as they're currently built
is different.
Right.
If it's,
I'm sure there'll be a training camp exercise we do, or maybe even before, of who can you least likely lose.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you look at it like, man, the fall off's too big. But I don't think there's many positions that way.
Yeah. I mean, even if you lose an offensive lineman, if you lose a defensive lineman not named Cam Heyward, if you lose a safety, even if it's Minkah Fitzpatrick, you have two safeties who are quite capable of lining up and playing.
Yeah. I haven't done a lot of studying on it, but we talked yesterday about how the Ravens had the best rest advantage in NFL history. Well, their offense last year was like the healthiest in NFL history, too. They had like a little bit of O-line injury stuff, but that probably won't repeat itself.
Well, they've already, yesterday the news came out, they lost to Darius Washington.
Yeah. I wonder if they knew that pre-draft. I mean, they took a safety in the first round. They probably would have taken him anyway.
Yeah.
But I just wonder if they knew that pre-draft.
But Washington would have been...
they would have played a lot of big.
He would have been in the mix, yeah.
Oh, he was helpful for them last year. He's undersized, but he helped firm up that defense a lot last year.
Yeah, so they've already suffered a pretty big loss.
Yeah, and then the Hendrickson thing is floating around JOK. So the division took a couple shots lately. Things aren't going great for the other teams at the moment.
But as they say, nobody cares about your problems, and they're glad that you have them.
Yep, no one's crying for you. Yeah.
So we'll see later tonight what the exact schedule winds up being, but
and we'll break it down tomorrow here too.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We'll go through it and have more information on the whole thing at that point. But I again, looking at it here, I haven't looked at it in a while, since the end of the year, and I'm like, that doesn't seem.
The teams aren't that brutal.
Knowing now what we know about these teams in terms of who's their quarterback going to be, who's this, what's this going to be, what's that? Okay,
yeah. Now. Warning, this time last year, the Washington Commanders were on the schedule, and it's like, they'll blow them out. They end up winning, but Washington ended up being a Final Four team, too. There will be a lot of surprises, needless to say. Could the Bears or the Packers really turn into one of the best teams in the NFC? Maybe. Or they could go the opposite direction, too. You might get them at the right time.
Yeah, I mean, last year, the 49ers are going to win the Super Bowl.
Right.
Didn't come anywhere close to that.
They didn't come close. There's definitely some strong examples one way or another.
Absolutely. You just don't want to be that team.
Unless you are that team, and the Steelers are actually better than people think. That's possible, too.
Yeah. Well, that's what's amazing, and I think it's one of the things that is overlooked in the Steelers' 21-game non-losing season stretch.
Yeah.
There have been years where they've been hit really hard by injuries.
Oh, real hard, yeah.
And
at quarterback,
yeah,
I mean, right.
And it didn't completely derail the season.
You still were in it.
Yeah,
I mean that's hard. I mean, that's the thing about the Niners is it blows me away.
They either win it and go to the Super Bowl or they stink.
Exactly. Shanahan's been the coach there 8 years, and he's widely considered one of the best coaches in the league. And I get that, especially if you're just going to look at offensive, prowess. But in his 8 years, every year they've either won double digits or lost double digits. Like the bad is
There's
bad.
There's nothing in between. There's no 9-8 or 10-7.
No. It's when disaster hits, you're picking in the top 10.
They don't handle it. Yeah.
No, they lose 10-plus games. That's what happened last year,
Yeah.
That's something to be said for that.
Anyways, let's get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. feel the need.
Oh, yeah?
The need for more cowbell.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the need for speed. I thought we were going to have a Top Gun segment.
Cowbell coming in.
There was a lot of cowbell.
Anyways, he is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. And Dan Graziano on ESPN's put together 10 lingering offseason questions for teams. I thought we would touch on some of these. And the first one here, and of course the Steelers are part of this.
Right, but everyone thinks that they're the only team that have lingering questions.
Yeah.
You know, like, what are they going to do at receiver? What are they going to do at quarterback? Well, there's a lot of other teams out there dealing with things.
Why didn't the Falcons move on from Kirk Cousins?
I still think that's in the mix. I don't know that they've had a suitor. I mean, I think the Browns could have been in the mix, but they drafted 2.
Here's the thing, though. They allowed the $10 million roster bonus to kick in
a couple months ago.
So he's scheduled $27.5 million fully guaranteed this year.
Mm-hmm.
It makes him a little less attractive as a late addition for somebody. Just look, hey, our quarterback just went down.
Right.
Let's go trade for Kirk Cousins. It was $27.
Well, it's all about money now.
Yeah.
Right. So let's dig into this one because I do think he's an option if Rodgers falls through.
Yeah.
And would probably be the first option. First off, as a player, Steeler fans probably remember Week 1 in Atlanta, he's coming off an injury. He didn't look so good. And the Steelers were getting after him pretty hard. Now, he publicly said he got hurt in Week 10 against the Saints. And if you look at from Weeks 1, including that bad performance against the Steelers.
He played much better the next week against the Eagles.
All the way up till Week 10. I mean, I just did an EPA search. He was like the 8th best quarterback in the league for the first 10 weeks and didn't get a lot of credit for it. And really, he played extremely well for the Vikings before that. From Week 10 on, he got banged up, and many people can cite where it was. He played a couple more games poorly, and then they went to Penix. Now, I don't think he moves great, and I have worries about his ability to give me 17 really strong games. Yeah. I mean, of course, at his age, but he's a good football player still that is definitely one of the best 32 quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But I thought he might get dealt before that option day came up, but the draft hadn't happened. Guys like Rodgers, Carr weren't settled.
They're not going to trade him to the Saints.
Not going to trade him to the Saints. I thought he might end up in Cleveland, but Cleveland at that time might have even been considering Shador at 2. You know, I mean, that was what we were talking about.
Now they drafted 2 guys. They're not going to.
Now they have 4. They're not, and Watson's a 5th. They're not going to add another quarterback.
They would need somebody again to have their quarterback go down.
Yeah.
In training camp or something along those lines, or Aaron Rodgers too.
I think he'd be the first call if Rodgers said, "I'm out." You know.
And lo and behold, the Steelers have all those draft picks next year.
Yeah, and I don't think Cousins would be expensive. It just depends how much money we take and how much you guys take.
What do you want to? How do you want to do this? Do you want to make it if you want to take on more money, it's a 5 or a 6.
Mm-hmm.
If you want them to take on more of the money, maybe it's a 4.
Yeah, and what's great if it comes to that for the Steelers is, well, we got the draft picks to do it your way if you want.
Yeah.
Or we have the cap space to do it your way if you want to.
Right.
You know what I want? We'll give you less and eat the cap, or we'll give you more and we got the picks.
Yeah.
So I don't think that would be a terrible option.
And really, what people aren't thinking about, that could be the holdup right now on whether or not you go out and trade for a receiver or sign a receiver.
Oh, yeah, right.
Because
there's money, but
they have like $35 million. Yeah, they have like
Right.
$35 million in cap space. That was before their rookie signings.
Yeah.
Well, now that number's less.
30 or something.
If you have to take on all of Cousins' contract, well, now it doesn't leave you much money to do anything with a receiver unless you start restructuring some guys.
Extend TJ and move things around. I mean, they have options, but you don't have to tap into those resources.
You don't want to do those unless you have to.
Right.
Yeah.
But there is big financial things happening here.
Yeah.
Clearly.
That's the only thing that the Rodgers situation has delayed it all at this point.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, he's going to make money. I mean,
he's going to count for something.
Right.
Don't know what it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, everybody, it's going to be $40 million. I knew it wasn't going to be $40 million.
Sure, but
he threw out the $10 million number.
I bet it's more than that.
It's probably somewhere in between.
It's not league minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's
probably closer to 20, somewhere in that range.
Back to Cousins, though. Like, if you were the Vikings, would you consider it as insurance? Like, there's a dynamic in the quarterback room too. Like, Cousins seems like a great guy, but he's looming over Pennick's shoulder.
Right.
Like, we want you to be the guy on the billboard.
I think they told him not to even come to their OTAs or anything.
I think so, too. Like, I don't know if he'll ever take a snap for the Falcons.
Yeah, just stay away. Don't get hurt.
Or maybe they're planning on cutting him. I don't think so.
See that, yeah. But to your point about the dynamics, that's why Joe Milton's not a Patriot anymore.
Yeah, people don't realize that part.
The people that wanted Joe Milton here, apparently Joe Milton doesn't play well with others.
And Dallas doesn't seem to mind who they trade
don't care.
for.
Yeah.
Hint, hint.
But I mean, everything I got. And this,
doesn't seem to bother the Cowboys.
This is coming from Greg Bedard in New England, who I trust immensely with the
super tight end. Yeah.
Back room. He's been on our show before. I'm friends with the guy. I talked to him, and he said, he thought he should be the starter over Drake May.
Well, that causes a wave.
That causes waves in that.
You got to go. Right. And Dallas will take those type of guys.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
The next question,
the Cousins situation is going to work itself
worth watching.
Out. He's going to play somewhere.
Yeah. Why didn't the Cowboys do more at running back?
I'm buddies with Marcus Mosher. I did a show with him today. Yeah. It didn't come up, but he thinks they are still in the trade market. He's thrown up Breece Hall's name. He doesn't think they're done.
They did. I mean, they have brought in Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders.
Right. It's not bare.
Yeah.
And
they
Blue
drafted
is
two
okay.
guys.
Right. I mean, I think Blue's sort of intriguing.
And Moffa's again, he may hit.
He might. You could still get Chubb. You could still get Dobbins. I think they just said, I'd rather invest in a line.
Yeah. Why didn't the Bengals extend Trey Hendrickson?
Well, that's
a big question.
I think I know why, because they extended Higgins and Chase and have all this money in Burrow. But we broke this down a lot yesterday. That's getting hairy. And one aspect I meant to bring up yesterday that I think is really important in this mix is you just invested in Shamar Stewart in the first round, right?
You spent a first-round draft pick on Myles Murphy 2 years ago.
Yes. Now, wouldn't you much rather have Cam Heyward around to teach Harmon the ways of the league than being mad sitting out?
Yeah.
Especially with Stewart's rawness.
Well, Stewart's sitting out.
I guess he is too, but he won't.
He won't. He'll eventually start practicing at some time. But I'm with you.
I want one of the best pass rushers in the league to be in the room with my first round pick so they learn from him.
Yeah. Well, they don't do things that way in
Cincinnati. No, they don't.
Why didn't the Bills add a star receiver?
Because the offense is good enough.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I know that would be lovely.
When you so you could ask the same thing about the Chiefs. Why didn't the Chiefs add a star receiver? You got a great quarterback. Your great quarterback is supposed to elevate
those guys,
average receivers, and make average receivers good receivers. They make good receivers great receivers.
Right.
Yeah.
And who was available? That's why the Steelers invested in Metcalf when they did.
Yeah.
It was not a great year to do that.
It was not.
It was not Harrison, Neighbors, Adunze, McConkey, Brian Thomas in the draft either.
Yeah.
I mean,
now they could have traded for DK Metcalf.
They could have, and maybe they called.
Yeah.
But I think the Bills clearly had told you what their situation is our defense is what's holding us back.
Yeah.
And they drafted accordingly.
Why didn't the Lions bring in a big-time edge rusher to pair with Aiden Hutchinson?
That surprised me a little bit. Like, we both really liked the Ohio State nose, Tyreek Williams, that they picked. And he is a physical, knee-biting type of dude. And Reader seems like he's kind of held together with duct tape right now. So I understood it, but I thought that might be an edge rusher. I mean, I thought that was the opportunity.
They may look at that as something, hey, we're going to be good enough, and then we'll do something at the trade deadline again.
It certainly could. And maybe they're on the phone in Cincinnati as we speak.
Yeah.
Or, man, if Myles Garrett really wanted out, we were going to put an offer in.
There'll be edge rushers that come free.
That is a position you can find, too.
Yeah.
You could sign Clowney and get by for now, too.
A 30-something-year-old guy that all of a sudden is available at the
There's
deadline.
always mercenaries there. Clowney's the perfect example. But I thought the Bills and Lions might be the most likely Myles Garrett type of team.
Why didn't the Rams try to address their future at quarterback? Well, maybe they thought about this like the Steelers did and just said, you know what? We don't love this class.
Yeah, just because the Steelers didn't draft a quarterback high doesn't mean that they have a plan for it, as we always talk about.
Right.
The Rams have 2 first-round picks next year.
Yeah.
That's time to do it.
Yeah.
Win now. You just gave Stafford money. Get a guy next year.
Why didn't the Bears add a big-name running back?
That one shocked me.
Yeah.
Not even a big-name running back, but a 4th-round running back.
Another running back.
Yeah. I mean, Tootin, or, that shocked me.
Yeah.
I don't have a great answer for that.
Counting on, the DeAndre Swifts of the world.
Yeah. It's Roschon Johnson and Swift. And Ben Johnson didn't get along with Swift when they were in Detroit.
Yeah. And he wants to run the football.
Yeah. I wonder if there's another shoe to drop there, too. But.
Maybe. Why didn't the Dolphins do more to address the cornerback position?
Because they don't have any money, and they're going to trade their best corner probably. I mean, they have a fortune tied up in Tua, Hill, and Ramsey. I just think they're in a mess right now.
They took a 5th-round cornerback.
Yeah. It's going to be bad.
Yeah. I think they're
they only made a couple picks. They made 2 picks in the first 4 rounds.
I think they're going to eat their vegetables this year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Why didn't the Texans make bigger improvements to their offensive line?
They did stuff.
They moved the chairs around. I don't know if they got better.
I don't think they got better on paper. Mason being gone, although I don't think anyone's picked them up. Tunsil gone. I mean, they were your probably best 2 guys.
Although Tunsil was very highly penalized last
year.
He was the most penalized player in the league.
Both of them didn't have good years. I don't think the protection schemes were sound. I think there was a lot of problems there. But I thought they'd go a little heavier. Do you really need 4 receivers? Like instead of Higgins and Knoll, maybe one of those should have been a guard.
And the final question on here is, why didn't the Steelers take quarterback more seriously? Well, they take it seriously.
Yeah, they're not just saying we just hope someone falls out of the sky.
They just didn't love this. All along they said, hey, we're going to address the quarterback position with a potential long-term answer this year or next year.
Yeah.
Well, this year, the opportunity didn't really present itself.
No. I mean, this is hindsight, but would listeners and the national media be happier if they took Shedeur Sanders at 21? Wouldn't look so great.
I wouldn't.
I sure wouldn't.
No.
Right. Now, we didn't know he was going to fall to the 5th, but you had to have some clue that, looking back on it, they weren't interested.
And they have a strong belief that Aaron Rodgers is going to sign.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, there's a Cousins fallback plan if need be. They got options.
I don't. This idea that the Steelers don't know what's going on with Aaron Rodgers is somewhat baffling to me. Right. I don't believe that at all.
I don't believe that at all.
I think they've been in constant contact with him, and he obviously must be telling them that he is leaning towards playing.
Yeah.
And he's going to sign at some point.
Actions speak loud, and they haven't made huge actions.
As you always say, teams show you what they're thinking by the moves that they make or the moves that they don't make.
Yeah, and the moves that they made are they have a strong number 2 quarterback and a prospect as a 3.
Yeah.
Well, there's another spot there.
There's a spot there for the guy who is going to be the starter.
I think they get that part.
Yeah. And they'll draft a young quarterback next year.
And maybe to your point, then a receiver falls in place after you get the quarterback there too.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Once you know how much you're spending on the quarterback and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe they got a side deal with Amari Cooper right now. Like, hey, Amari, as soon as Aaron signs, we're going to sign you. I don't know. I'm just throwing that against the wall. That's not a hot rumor or anything like that.
Sure. And there's also a lot of veterans in the league that's a lot easier to talk to them after June 1st, which isn't that far away.
Yeah. So those are the questions from Dan Graziani and Graziano, and
they're quality ones.
Yeah.
I
mean, those are all legitimate questions.
There's big stuff still looming around the league. Yeah.
You could look at that and say, well, why didn't the Browns do more to address their quarterback situation?
Right. That's a great question. And if you're going to address it next year, why would you draft 2 guys this year?
Yeah, 3rd and a 5th round draft pick. Mm-hmm. Why did you use 2 picks on quarterback if you think you're going to
an additional pick on Pickett?
Yeah.
I mean, they have done stuff. I don't understand why they've done it. I don't understand the logic behind it. And how are you going to divvy up that bothers me to no end too. How do you divvy up the workload, the snaps, the practice time between those 4?
That's the tough part.
Flacco needs the least, but he's your opening day starter.
Yeah.
You'd like him to play. You got 2 rookies you're trying to groom, and that's not Pickett and Lolicon.
Well, and the other problem becomes you're not going to keep 4.
I think they have to almost. Are they going to cut Pickett, who they traded for? Are they going to cut Leonard or Gabriel?
They might and try to sneak him onto the practice squad. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, they gave something decent for Pickett. It was like a fifth and a player. Well, Skyler. Not Skyler. DTR. Not that he's great, but I bet they keep 4 and just kind of eat it.
Ugh.
Yuck. I know.
And
Watson.
Why didn't the Bengals do more to address their defensive problems in the draft?
Right. No, I hear you.
I mean, we've talked about that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
but they only had 6 picks and 2 were on guards. The rest were on defense. Well, they had a running back too in the last round. They could certainly use more.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's get to another break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with more right after this. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, on his podcast, Not Just Football with Cam Heyward, Heyward was asked about the Pickens trade.
Oh, was he? Okay.
And he said, was I surprised? Yeah. But you know, the game is the game, and I know it benefits both teams. We get another third-round pick. They get a wide receiver to go along with CeeDee Lamb. Would I have liked to see George and DK play together? Yeah. Mm-hmm. But hopefully there's something in the works. That sounds awfully familiar.
That sounds kind of like the way we've interpreted it. It's a little surprising, but I'm not blown away by it when I read it for the first time. And you are getting something in return. You didn't give them away for nothing or cut them. And maybe there's something in the works.
And I think the idea...
Not that they consult Cam on it.
No.
Hey, you know, what are we going to do with receiver?
They don't consult any of their players on these things.
It's a big misconception.
Somebody put out the idea that they consulted Aaron Rodgers.
I heard that. I kind of chuckled to myself.
About the trade. And I'm like, why would they consult a guy who's not even under contract with them when they wouldn't even consult Cam Heyward about something like that?
Yeah, right.
That's not how this works.
No, that's not how that works. You don't need his permission or, right.
Hey, what do you think of this?
Right.
How about we trade this guy you've never met before?
You've never met before.
Yeah.
Now, if by chance Alan Lazard ended up here, I would think Rodgers might have something to do with it.
They might say something about that. Yeah.
Kind of like people that have been familiar with each other, you want them to play together, right?
Right.
Yeah.
He also said, he was asked, he said, I think you have to look at the players we do have around. You've got Calvin Austin. I think he's going to take a step forward. I think the ball should be going through tight end or through Pat Freiermuth a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree.
And then you're also looking for a guy like Roman Wilson to take a big step. So it's not like we don't have a number one receiver in DK.
Mm-hmm.
I get all that. I do think Pat Freiermuth can be a bigger part of the offense.
That's bothered me over the last couple of years a little bit. I mean, he has a huge game against the Bengals, and then I think he needs to be featured and schemed up more. Now, I'm not saying he's Kelsey. I think he's a real good player. I don't think he's a special player, but you're looking for receivers over the last couple of years, and he brings a lot to the table.
Yeah,
I would like to see more attempts thrown his way.
And finally, he said that this is a PSA for all Steeler fans. Don't panic. Stay patient. We'll get to work. I think sometimes we can jump off the ship and think the ship is sinking. We've got work to do, and whoever won the offseason isn't going to win the regular season. Is not going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Simply winning the offseason means nothing.
Right. I mean, whether they consult Heyward on anything or not, well, they do consult him on things. I mean, they have conversations. Obviously, him and Tomlin are colleagues, friends, etc. I have a feeling Cam has a feeling about Rodgers.
Yeah.
These guys have been in the league together a long time. I bet he has a hunch who the quarterback's going to be.
Yeah.
And he also knows the Steelers organization well enough that they're not going to make drastic
knee-jerk reactions.
moves.
They just don't do it.
There's a long plan here, and it's in place,
You might not agree with the plan.
No, and you're very right. I get it. Cool.
I get it. But there is always a plan in place.
Mm-hmm.
They don't just do things just to do it.
Right. There's a reason they have all these picks going forward. That's not an accident. I mean, there things will happen, folks.
Yeah. So, again, they don't play tomorrow.
Mm-mm.
The schedule comes out tonight, so they couldn't play tomorrow. It's just it's a process, and I get the fan reaction to certain things.
Oh yeah,
when they happen, and
that's why it's fun to be a fan.
We all have reactions to everything that's made, every move that's made.
Mm-hmm.
But I've just learned over the years, in regards to these things, like there's typically another shoe to drop. At some point.
There's usually part 2 of the plan.
Yeah. When this guy gets released, well, that means this, or this means that. And you just got to think.
Or we have money tied up for now, like you were talking about, and then the receiver will fall after, a big quarterback contract. And I think that's a real good point.
Yeah, it's not just you're not playing checkers, you're playing chess. And this move may set up the next 2 moves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it doesn't mean that I'm sure that they set things up for Ayuk last year. It doesn't mean it always works, but this gives us the best chance to go sign one of these 3 players, or make this trade, or make another draft pick move, or restructure a contract. It's always moving. I mean, a roster and team building is never static.
It's like an amoeba. It's just kind of constantly.
Yeah. I mean, even late June, early July. Well, what if we restructure this guy? And you still think about that stuff.
Yeah,
and it's constant.
And you just got your first look at the rookies last weekend.
And it's a brief one, but at least you get your hands on them.
Right.
Right.
They've got the playbook now. They've got the
position coaches got to spend time with them.
Yeah,
and that's big. Can I coach this guy up? Did he pass kindergarten? You know what I mean? Can I get him to 2nd grade, 3rd grade?
Yeah. Now let's start picking this stuff up a little bit more, and they got a couple weeks now before they even start the real OTA sessions.
When is the next OTA, or when's the next time that they play football? We got a little while.
Like 2 more weeks, yeah.
Yeah, it's like 2 weeks. Okay.
So
yeah, plenty of time.
And no mini camp until June. So it's one of the things that the teams did this year. A lot of teams, over half the league, actually chopped off one of their OTA weeks.
Just didn't think they needed it. Yeah.
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 And I think, honestly, to me, and I'm just guessing on this, I think it was a tip of the cap, or just a nod to the Players Association, because last year we heard a lot of, well, why don't we just start training camp, or have your OTAs and mini camp in July and roll right into training camp?
Yeah.
Coaches don't want that.
Coaches don't want that. I mean, the coaches are busy now. I mean, not as busy as at certain times of the year, but they're busy now. I mean,
now you know what you got coming out of the draft. Now I go, okay, now how's this guy fit into what we're going to do?
There's burnout. You need to get away. I mean, you need to see your family.
Yeah.
I mean,
coaches,
mental well-being.
So for people that don't know, the coaches typically are those 3 weeks before training camp starts. That's when they finally get an opportunity to go on vacation.
That's their real time to go to the beach or whatever.
Right.
I mean, with their family.
Outside of that, because as soon as the season's over, you're assessing what you had, what happened. Now you're looking at, okay, what do we got here coming available in free agency? Got to start digging into the draft. Then free agency hits. Then you do the draft. Then you get these young players in. Like if
there's stretches where it's not 100-hour weeks, but if you're the running back coach and I'm just going to throw this on. Hey, we're thinking about signing J.K. Dobbins. Can you get in here and watch every tape he has yesterday? All right. Well, you kind of have to be on call, too.
Yeah.
It's not just like I just disappeared, to
I'm going to go off into the mountains of Tibet. And
right.
You can't reach me for the next 2 weeks.
Right. Like, hey, we have an opportunity, or we didn't know this guy was able to get the Cowboys receiver coach.
Yeah.
Man, I was kind of relaxing. They're like, now I need to know everything about George
George
Pickens.
How do I fit George Pickens into the
right,
equation?
in the next 24 hours.
The entire
you're on call.
As it is now, the entire league shuts down in July. Like July 1st on,
there really is
even
a true
the league
dead time.
office shuts down. Like people are wondering,
you don't get like fines or suspensions or
none
anything.
of that because they're all gone. That's when they take their vacation.
Yeah, and the agents actually get a breather. The players, I'm sure the players are working out.
Yeah,
but they don't have. I mean, have to. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah,
right. I mean, it's the only time of the year.
Yeah, so they don't want that. So I think a lot of at least half the teams this year said, okay, we'll chop a week off these OTA sessions just to make it a little more palatable.
Goodwill, right. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, are we really gaining that much? Might be gaining more in goodwill and, mental health from the players than we are actually making them better football players.
There used to be none of that at all.
There used to be none of that at all.
Like you didn't – my first year on the beat, you showed up to mini camp. That was the first time you'd seen any of the players.
Yeah.
Like I went into the locker room. Kevin Green had just signed.
Okay.
And that was the first guy I went and talked to. And wrote a story on Kevin Green because he was a brand new Steeler at that point,
and nobody had seen him yet.
Yeah, that was the first time you saw him. It was at the minicamp. There were no OTA sessions.
And folks, Dale and I are also going to take a vacation at some point in our life too. Like that's coming too. Right?
In July.
Yeah.
That's the way that works. I mean, I set it off the same time every year. Like, I got this time that I can do stuff.
Go away. No question.
So, anyways, let's get to a break. That's going to do it for hour number 1 of the drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Matt and I will be back with hour number 2 right after this. And we are back. This is the start of hour number 2 of the drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. He's Matt Williamson. I am the Dale Lolley.
Ooh, okay.
One of me, too. There's not as many Dale Lolleys out there as there are Matt Williamson.
I would think not.
Yeah. Anyways, there are a few, though.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them down south.
Okay.
Looking here at the
There's a lot of people on the planet.
There are.
Yeah, and bound to have some overlap.
I had sometimes, not usually, typically, but usually if I sign up for something, I can get my name in some numbers or something.
Oh, yeah, right.
But a lot of times it's, I don't have to, but you just do it because.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I do. That one's already taken.
That one's already taken. Wow, there's another one out
crazy.
there.
How about that?
Gotta go meet him.
Yeah. The Ringer has its list of the top 26 prospects in the 2026 NFL draft class.
Yes.
Some of this is a bit premature. We don't know that all these guys are going to be available, but these are the guys to watch.
And I know that everyone gets super optimistic about the grass on the other side. I mean, but it does look like the little I've done that this draft class is pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a lot of optimism around this class, but not just quarterbacks, all positions.
And again, this is by Deontay Lee.
Mm-hmm. Deontay does good work.
And he has these broken down here. The quarterbacks who matter. Arch Manning from Texas.
Yeah, a lot of speculation. He's going to return either way. He's going to make a big buck.
Doesn't need the money.
Doesn't need the money, and he's going to get money.
Yeah. Garrett Nussmeier with LSU.
Mm-hmm. His dad's a coach in the league, and he looks like a potential first-rounder for sure.
Yeah.
Not a super athlete.
Lenore Sellers from South Carolina. He is a super athlete.
Yeah. He has some rawness to his game, too.
Drew Aller from Penn State.
He's got a lot of traits.
And Cade Klubnik from Clemson.
I've heard some people thinking he's going to be the first pick in the draft, too.
There's a possibility there.
Yeah.
He also adds Carson Beck to this group.
I think he matters.
I'm not a Carson Beck fan.
And what I've seen, I would aim higher.
I would put Aller maybe ahead of him,
but
if I were ranking those guys, I wouldn't have Manning number 1.
I don't know enough about them.
I don't know enough about him.
I don't know enough about any of them.
If his name was Arch Williamson, would people be saying he's the number 1 pick in next year's draft? Probably not.
I mean, the people who love him say he's Peyton Manning with great legs. Like, that's pretty good. I'm saying he's Michael Vick, but he's a really good runner.
Yeah.
I do know that.
So we'll see how those all break down. And
there'll be 2 more names.
There'll be names added to that. Some of these guys may drop off.
Right. Someone will drop off because of play. Someone will go back to school.
Everybody thought Aller was coming out this year.
Right.
It just didn't happen. Everybody thought Beck was coming out this year.
You might know better than I do, but a lot of people are picking Penn State to win national title or be in the mix, and I think that's part of the reason he went back.
A lot of their guys went back.
Both
running backs.
Both running backs, right.
Yeah.
They got. I'm sure they'll have other names on this list or not far off it.
Looking at some of the offensive playmakers, Jeremiah Love, the running back from Notre Dame.
He's
a really good player.
Okay.
Yeah, really good player. Nick Singleton from Penn State, another really good player.
They have 2 good ones.
Thought Singleton was going to be in this draft this year, and
probably should have. I mean, if you go
running back,
yeah. I mean, I know it's a good running back.
Maybe he looked at it and said, "You know what? It's such a deep class."
Yeah,
like he was being looked at. Both Penn State running backs were being looked at as like 3rd-round guys.
I say after like Judkins and Henderson. I thought, maybe.
So maybe next year they go in the 2nd round.
Yeah. Just don't hurt,
Yeah, or maybe they go in the 1st round.
Mm-hmm.
Carnell Tate, the wide receiver from Ohio State, they just pump him out every year.
Yeah. It's just another one, and he's not even going to be the best receiver on that team.
Yeah. Evan Stewart, wide receiver from Oregon.
They're pumping him out pretty good, too. They're not first-round picks, but he's considered to be better than the last 2.
He was the Texas State champion in the long jump, finished 2nd in the triple jump, and ran a 10.58 second 100 in
Texas.
In Texas.
Yeah, so you win anything in Texas. That's serious competition.
And so somebody might say, well, why do the triple jump and long jump matter? You want to talk about explosiveness? First of all, you got to be fast. You got to get the build-up speed.
Yeah.
But then the explosiveness in your jump.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, it translates.
Yeah.
100%. I'm sure his vertical's great, too. And, I no doubt about any of that.
Nick Anderson, wide receiver from LSU, 6'4".
Okay, is he the big guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They have a pretty good history of pumping out receivers, too.
Yeah, they've done okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of comparing to Brian Thomas.
That's what I was thinking.
Pretty good player.
Thomas
Yeah.
correlation.
Malachi Fields, wide receiver from Notre Dame. Another 6'4", 220-pound
big receiver.
wide receiver.
Okay.
And he can block.
Yeah, I'm sure he's well-schooled.
Yeah. You got Eli Stowers, tight end from Vanderbilt. I don't know much about him.
I don't either. I just knew that Vanderbilt has a guy that's potential first-rounder. I don't know if he's more blocker, receiver. I don't know much about him, but yeah.
He breaks his next one down. Talent in the trenches. And this, to me, is where this draft really
has a chance to be pretty good.
Has a chance to be. Caden Proctor, offensive tackle from Alabama.
Sounds like he's almost guaranteed his first-round pick.
6'7", 360 pounds.
360, yeah.
Isaiah World from Oregon.
Good name.
6'8", 300 pounds. He's as big as the world.
He's got his own gravity.
Francis Mayoga, offensive tackle from Miami.
Mm-hmm.
He is a big, thick.
Some people talk about him as maybe being the first one off the board even, too.
Yeah. Probably more of a right tackle.
Mauler
maybe he
type,
can move to the left side. Rising stars on defense. So only 3 offensive tackles there. A lot of people, like some of the early projections we saw, had more tackles.
Had more than that, right.
But
I don't know why he narrowed it down to 26. Maybe he just thinks these are the top dudes.
If there were 26 sure first-rounders in this draft.
Well, that's a ton. Right.
That's a
huge number.
Right. Caleb Downs, a safety from Ohio State. There's some people think he might go number 1 overall.
Is the best player in this draft.
Yeah.
He's a special Sean Taylor type, no holes in his game safety prospect.
Peter Woods, defensive tackle from Clemson.
Clemson's loaded.
Clemson is, they're
loaded.
back.
Yeah, they are loaded. There's a lot of names are going high. A lot of them are D linemen.
You got Anthony Hill, Jr., linebacker from Texas.
Okay, I've watched a little of him, and he stands out.
Still just 20 years old.
Yeah.
But he can play.
He flies all over the place.
T.J. Parker, edge rusher from Clemson.
Mm-hmm. I've heard him. I've seen some of these way too early mocks of him go top 2 or 3.
Yeah,
too.
6'3", 265.
Yeah, bigger guy.
Yeah. Reuben Bain, Jr., edge rusher out of Miami.
Okay.
He's a little bit bigger, 6'3", 275.
Nice.
Jermon McCoy, cornerback from Tennessee. Seen a lot of good stuff on him.
A lot of good buzz about him,
Yeah. L.T. Overton, defensive tackle from Alabama.
Another one that people were really impressed with, just really super talented.
Yeah.
I don't think Bama's going to be down long.
No. Avion Terrell, cornerback Clemson.
AJ's brother.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Another Clemson stud.
Yeah, he said he plays a lot like his brother, surprisingly enough. Yeah, who's a really good player in the NFL.
Mid-first-round pick that's outkicked that, right?
AJ's been in the league for a while. There's a little bit of a gap there between.
Yeah, they are. He came out.
It's almost a Heyward-like gap.
CD Lamb draft.
Yeah,
they were two right next to each other.
They're not quite 10 years apart, but
they're 6 or 7.
Yeah,
yeah.
David Bailey, edge rusher out of Texas Tech.
That's a name I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, I don't see a size on him or anything. He had been at Stanford.
Okay, so he just transferred to Texas Tech.
Yeah. Malik Muhammad, cornerback, Texas.
That's another one that's people think he's as good as Barron and different, but that secondary has been a fruitful area for the draft.
So there's a good number of quarterbacks, good number of cornerbacks on that list.
Yeah.
Some trench guys. It sets up to be a pretty nice draft.
As it stands here, it sounds like people that know are pretty excited about it, and I think we'll look back on this past draft as very mediocre when it's all said and done. There'll be people that surprise, but again, I can't harp enough that I would not have wanted the 4th pick or the 5th pick compared to other years. Mason Graham shouldn't be the 4th pick in the draft ever.
It was Matt Williamson that said that, not Dale Lolley.
No. I think he's like the 15th player overall. And if he's going 4th, that just says a lot about the draft.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the guys that went late, think of the 2 Super Bowl teams. Jahad Campbell and Simmons, the tackle out of Ohio State. they could be as good as the 4th and 5th pick in the draft when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
They have a little bit of warts, but they're phenomenal at what they do. You know,
yeah,
I think it was that big a difference.
I don't know if this most recent draft is going to have. Obviously, if somebody is a top 10 pick, there's bust potential.
Yeah.
Or even a top 15 pick. But I think there's a lot of good players. I just didn't see a lot of great players.
Right. I mean, Michael Williams is a good player. Is he going to turn into Micah Parsons?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, right. I mean, there might be a lot of solid picks. And I think the teams knew that. Like, let's try to get someone with pretty high floor. It's all we have to pick from. That doesn't mean we have to manufacture the 40th best player in the 12th slot. And let's draft linemen early. I mean, the offensive lineman went quick. Yeah,
you just see some drafts where, 5 years later, it looks like, that whole entire first round was just awful.
Right.
And then there's others that you look at and go, that whole first round was really good.
Oh, no question. I remember the Eric Fisher, Luke Jokel draft. They were the first two guys in the draft, and they weren't better prospects than Will Campbell. Let alone Joe Alt or some of the other, Jonathan Ogden and Baselli and those type of guys. Those are the first two picks in the draft. That was a rough class.
Yeah. Sometimes it just goes that way.
Yeah, it's just what they give you.
Yeah. But I am surprised that this year's draft, given that it was the last year of the COVID stuff, didn't have more stars in it than it wound up having.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the stars left early. If you were going to be guaranteed of being a first-round pick,
you don't want to be the 6th-year college player.
Right.
Unless you're maybe a quarterback bouncing around, Ward, guys like that took a while or landed in a couple of different spots. I hope the draft normalizes a little bit.
Now we're running out of that
I think
COVID
we're about done
era.
with that, right. The transfer stuff's still going to be out there, but that's just life now.
Yeah. It's amazing to me it all happened around this at the same time. The players starting to get paid and COVID all coincided with each other. Like
all the transfer stuff.
Yeah. So great. we're gonna look back on this era, like of the last 5 drafts, I think 4 or 5 drafts, is kind of a transition period.
Massively. I say this all the time. Like if someone writes a book, The History of the NFL Draft, that's going to be a really weird chapter.
Yeah.
Nobody quite knew.
Yeah. Think about all the schools that just completely canceled. They didn't have their workout. They had no pro days.
Trey Lance.
There was no combine.
There was no combine. Right. Lance was a 3rd pick in the draft, and nobody hardly knew anything about him.
Thrown like 200 passes in college.
Right. And nobody really batted an eye.
Yeah.
That's the best. Okay, that's what we're working with this year.
Yeah. I even remember being at the Senior Bowl that year, and even that process was weird because you weren't allowed on the field. Right. We had to interview, even after the practices. Like now you can go out on the field and talk to players and stuff. You can interact with them. That year, and they hadn't even done it the previous year. That was just opening things back up. Well, we still had all the media was up in the stands, and they brought the players over. Now, mind you, you're about 10 foot off the ground.
Yeah, I can picture.
You had to hand your tape recorder down.
Okay.
And then they put them all in a bin. And the players stood there and talked, and people shouted questions at them from the stand. It was just ridiculous. I'm like, what did I come here for?
Yeah, what do I really gain?
And
think about it from the players' eyes, too. Like, I'm trying to showcase myself or, show them what I can do, and this is the environment I have to deal with.
Yeah, just a weird time.
It is. A really weird time.
So, anyways, that was the Ringers top 26 players for next year's draft. I'm sure if we did this again 6 months from now, Deontay might have some new players on that list.
Oh, 100%. A lot of these guys start digging into summer scouting now, too. Yeah. The draft next to do it year-round. We'll start really digging into tape from last year.
Absolutely. But let's get to another break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. We'll be back with more right after this. Welcome back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And, of course, you can hear The Drive every Monday through Friday right here on these very airwaves. Or you can download the Steelers mobile app, get it there. You also get the schedule as it comes out. And you can also watch along on YouTube and give us a thumbs up there. You can leave your comments there. I know I said I would stay out of the comments. I'm staying away from the people ask me a question, and we'll go into those. But I'm not going to deal with the rest of it.
Twitter Thursday tomorrow, though, right?
Tomorrow is Twitter Thursday.
Okay, get your questions in there.
In addition to breaking down the schedule.
Yep. So we'll have a good one tomorrow, for sure.
The X Twitter Thursday.
The X Twitter Thursday.
I'm gonna make that a thing yet.
I know.
The X Twitter. Looking here at Pro Football Focus has put together a list of the most underrated player on all 32 teams.
Mm-hmm. They do this every year, and it's usually pretty good.
I already looked ahead to the Steelers one, and I have a problem with who they picked.
You want to start there?
We can.
Okay. We usually save it for the last.
For the Steelers, they picked Nick Herbig.
Mm-hmm.
And while I get it, I would pick somebody who starts, not a bench player.
Yeah.
Like I would say Deshaun Elliott.
Okay, that's a good one.
Is an underrated player.
Yeah, that's a good one. Now, I do know that their pass rush grade, that's not pass rush win rate, whatever, that's their grade. Watt, Highsmith, Heyward, and Herbig were all like in their top 12.
And this is one of the problems that I have, though, with those particular things.
Mm-hmm.
So a guy who has played like Herbig well under 50% of the snaps.
Right, compared to Watt.
Is compared to the same at the same level as those guys who play 90% or 80% of the snaps.
Yeah.
If I'm playing 80% plus of the snaps, yes, if I have a bad pass rush, it's not going to be held against me quite as hard.
Sure.
But the other guy's more fresh. He's coming in.
I was going to say, it's easier to come off the bench.
Yeah.
It is.
Herbig's giving you 10 pass rushes a game.
Mm-hmm.
Watt's doing it 25 times.
Yeah, it's definitely harder.
Yeah.
It's a starter versus reliever type of situation. If I had to come in and get two batters,
so I can't compare those. Easier. I can't compare those on the same level. It's one of the things that drives me. Oh, this guy's really good. Yeah, but he only played 30% of the snaps.
Right. So I didn't read the write-up. I just scrolled through it and I saw the name Herbig. I assume that if I were to pick Herbig and write it, I would say the league does. Maybe he's underrated because you don't realize how potent he is per snap.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think he's really good.
No question.
But I value a guy who starts over the part-time player.
The guy that's giving me 900 snaps versus 400 snaps over the course of the year is a much different.
It's the same situation when you saw those things with the Eagles edge rusher. Who was
Huff or Reddick or one of those
either
guys.
One of those guys.
They're all like just speedballs.
If they're never out there on rundowns,
right?
I don't care how they can be. And they're super effective as pass rushers.
Oh yeah, they have but you're a closer.
Yeah, but all they do is come out and throw fastballs.
Yeah. Rob Dibble comes out of the pen and throws 100 for 4 batters.
It's not the same as a starter that's giving me 7 innings every game.
It's not Roger Clemens.
Yeah,
right. I'm dating me. That's my baseball knowledge. When I was 7. But
So to compare the pass rushes of those two guys, when one guy's only playing on pass rush downs,
right,
and the other guy's out there giving you, everything,
and it's not a direct equation either. Okay, he wins 25% of the time. Well, it's better if you win 25% of the time over 1,000 snaps than over 200. It doesn't mean you would win 25% of the time over 1,000.
Right,
because you wear down and you get double teams and you got to take the run, etc. And back to like Huff and Reddick, sure helps when you're an Eagle, not a Panther.
Yeah. You're getting more pass rush opportunities.
Fourth quarters are begging for you to rush off the edge. And we've brought this up 4,000 times during drive history. Like, as amazing as TJ Watt is, there haven't been that many opportunities where Steelers are up by 12, 8 minutes left in the game, terrible towels are crazy. You can't hear yourself think
out there and go nuts.
And just go crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, that has not happened that often in his career, or he would have a lot more sacks.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's go ahead and look at the rest of these guys on here. Arizona Cardinals is cornerback Garrett Williams.
Okay. Remember, he was kind of an injured dude. I think they're now counting on. Yeah, Syracuse.
Atlanta Falcons, it's defensive lineman David Onyemata.
Yeah, he's been a perennial Ogunjobi level type dude, you know.
For the Ravens, it's running back. Here we go, Justice Hill. You can't find anybody on the Ravens who's a starter.
Right.
Who
I think he's a coach's favorite. He always makes a team and makes an impact, and I think he does some special teams, but he's never he's a replaceable player. That's what the defense is never like, oh no, they put Justice Hill in the game.
No, you're actually they put Justice Hill in the game. That's good.
Like I'd rather even face him than Keaton Mitchell for 10 snaps a game.
For the Bills, it's wide receiver Khalil Shakir.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's pretty well underrated's weird, especially in today's world where everyone knows everything. Everyone knows who Shakir is.
Right.
Is he better than you think? Probably.
For the Panthers, it's wide receiver Jalen Coker.
Oh, I'm a fan. I think he's a legit top 3 rotational player. You guys undraft free agent. Some people don't even know who he is.
For the Bears, it's defensive lineman Gervin Dexter.
Oh, he's another one I think could be knocking on the door of being a star.
Yeah. For the Bengals, it's defensive lineman B.J. Hill. I'm seeing a trend here with a lot of defensive linemen.
I think B.J.
Especially
Hill's
interior
pretty average. I mean, I don't think he's part of their problem.
Yeah.
So that might be enough.
It'd be a tough one to find an underrated guy.
You're not going to be like Jamar Chase.
You got the stars and then
right. I was sitting here thinking, like, who else is? I mean, the defense is hard to pick from. And the O-line isn't exactly screaming with them.
For the Browns, it's linebacker Jordan Hicks.
Fine. I mean, I think he's a quality number 2. I think they judged it the same way and drafted Schlesinger really high, knowing JOK was going to go out.
33-year-old linebacker, though.
Yeah, he's bounced around the league.
For the Cowboys, it's safety Malik Hooker.
He's another one that's bounced around the league a little more than he should, but is a quality starter.
For the Broncos, safety Brandon Jones.
Yeah, 100%. I didn't really know his backstory. It kind of snuck up on me, but they love him.
For the Lions, it is cornerback Amik Robertson.
More of a slot, but tough guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
For the Packers, wide receiver Romeo Doubs.
What do they say about him?
So Doubs has quietly put up more than 1,500 receiving yards over the past 2 seasons, second most among Packer players. Behind only Jaden Reed, he also has delivered a 75 PFF receiving grade, which also ranks second on the team behind Reed since 2023. His ability to step up deep downfield and come up with contested catches has been crucial for Green Bay. He not only leads the team in contested catch rate over the past 2 seasons, 58.7. He also ranks 11th among 104 qualifying receivers in that span.
Okay. I don't know what their grades on him, but he's a decent blocker. He does the dirty work. Yeah. He's a coach's favorite type. Contested catches, as you mentioned. Can use him in a wide variety of ways. And I never give him enough credit. I'm always like, he's not real exciting because his highlight tape doesn't blow you away. He could be a Steeler.
For the Texans, I don't know about this one. Safety Jalen Petrie. I think he's pretty well established as a player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he's a really good player, and most people recognize it.
Yeah. For the Colts, it's offensive tackle Bernard Raymond.
Yeah, he's come a long way. He's one of the short arm guys that's gotten past that. He also came in the league really old. Yeah, which hurt his cause. But he's been good.
For the Jaguars, offensive tackle Walker Little.
They gave him money, and I was a little shocked. But he was one of those dudes like the draft segment we did. He could be first overall pick in the draft from Stanford,
He's got injuries.
He has some injury stuff, yeah. They had McDard for a while, which isn't fair to him.
For the Chiefs, it's linebacker Leo Chenal.
For them, I mean, he is a hammer. They'll put him at the line of scrimmage. He's like 260. I mean, he's not LaVon Kirkland, but he does a lot of bullying for them.
For the Raiders, wide receiver Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, that's safe. I mean, I think he's a high-quality player.
For the Chargers, linebacker Deion Henley.
Yes, that's another name, kind of like Dexter, that is not well known, but could be one of the better players at his position before long.
For the Rams, it is offensive tackle Alaric Jackson.
Yeah, and they got him for a bargain because he didn't hit free agency.
For the Dolphins, defensive lineman Zach Seiler.
Perfect example. I mean, their D-line's bad, but would be very welcome on any team, preferably in a rotation.
Yeah. For the Vikings, it is linebacker Blake Cashman.
I think he was undrafted too, or a really late pick.
I think he was a late pick for the Texans.
And and he's been good. He's been real good.
For the Patriots, edge rusher Keon White. He's the exact opposite. He was a high second-round pick.
Yeah. No, he's flashed. I think he missed some time last year. He's another one I think could be a star.
For the Saints, it's edge rusher Carl Granderson. Yeah.
Pretty boring. Yeah.
For the Giants, cornerback Andrew Phillips.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's only in his second year.
Yeah, he was a rookie
Third
last
round
year.
pick and tough guy. Right, more of a slot.
For the Jets, guard Elijah Vera Tucker. I mean, seriously, he was a top 10 draft pick.
And he's been injuries have been the only reason he's not more of a household name. If he is not a household
Everybody
name.
knows who. I mean, if you follow the NFL at all, you know who Elijah Vera Tucker is. He was a top 10 draft pick.
Yeah.
For the Eagles, safety Reed Blankenship.
Kind of their glue guy, communicator.
Yeah.
Quality.
For the 49ers, wide receiver Juwan Jennings.
Yeah, but I mean, he busted out pretty strong last year.
77 catches last year.
I would say he might be past this level, you know.
For the Seahawks, safety Julian Love.
He's another one that's had a pretty decent career. That some of these safeties, you know, we talked about this with Hooker a little bit. Like they sit out in free agency for a couple weeks or a couple months, and you can get them at pretty reasonable prices, you know.
Yeah. For the Buccaneers, edge rusher Yaya Diaby.
He's looking like a keeper, to say the least. I mean, young guy.
For the Titans, edge rusher Arden Key.
Yeah, he had some off the field when he came to the league.
Stuff,
but there's a lot of ability. It sounds like he's kind of hit the straight and narrow, bigger bodied guy. Okay, that'd be a tough team to pick from.
This is cheating for the Commanders too. Tight end Zach Ertz. Come on, man.
Right. He's had a pretty good career. The whole planet knows.
That would be like
is.
picking Steelers defensive tackle Cam Heyward.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
guy's been a Pro Bowler.
Yes, Super Bowl champ. I mean, I guess there's the misconception that he's totally shot, but he's got the old man tight end.
All he does is run 5 yards downfield, turn around, and catch a football.
Catch a ball, fall forward for 2 more, and that's about it. Right.
That's what he didn't do in the game against the Steelers that won the Steelers the game.
Good point.
They got him a yard or half yard short of the. He didn't allow him to fall forward.
Yeah, but he's not done.
No, he's not done. He can play 5 more years.
Yeah, some of those tight end old man game guys are interesting to me.
So I mentioned Elliott as the potential guy for the Steelers. Anybody else that stands out to you in that regard? Frazier could be on that list. Not a Pro Bowl player yet.
Yeah, but he's slamming on the door, breaking the door down.
Yeah, but he's still under,
Yeah.
Again, I mentioned the other day that not everybody had him on their all-rookie team.
Yeah, which is great. Well, there was another good one, but yeah.
And that guy wasn't picked either. Grant Barton wasn't picked either. Right. Like, what are we doing here?
Warren's, I mean, running backs everyone knows, but he's a really good football player.
Yeah.
Washington, I mean, he's not going to put up numbers, but in terms of impact on the game, I think that's pretty strong. I'm thinking more like backup types. Yeah. Elliott's the obvious starter to me.
I think Calvin Austin could fall into that.
Yeah.
I think he's better than people think.
I think people think he's a nice 4th receiver. I think he's more than that.
Or he's just a slot.
Right. I think that's unfair to him too.
And he's also a pretty good return guy. Finished top 10 last year in punt return yards.
Mason Rudolph.
Okay.
I mean, not compared to starters, and I'm not on that board. Just let Rudolph be the starter.
Yeah.
But I think he's a high quality too.
Yeah. I think Keanu Benton's knocking on the door of that as well.
Mm-hmm. Sack production isn't great, but he impacts the pass rush.
The pass rush is there.
Right.
Now it's just he's
5 or 6 sacks.
Taking the reservation. He's got to hold the reservation. Get the quarterback 100%. On the ground.
Maybe a Holcomb, somebody that's been a little bit out of sight, out of mind, as a depth / spot starter type.
I still think Elliott would be my clear choice for the Steelers.
Yeah. I mean, maybe he needs to be talked about as one of the better starting strongs, top 5 to 10.
I mean, honestly, if you start looking at the Steelers safety tandem.
And Tranquil. Or Thornhill. We were just talking about Tranquil.
Yeah. It's one of the better starting duos / trios in the league.
I 100% agree. I think it's a real strength up the middle. And I think linebacker's decent
Linebacker's pretty strong too. Well, we didn't even mention Peyton Wilson there.
I thought about him. I mean, especially if he's going to become truly on close to every down player, which I suspect is the plan this year.
Yeah, I mean, he's not that far off from Deion Henley.
No, that's a good point.
I mean, Henley's good, but he has more opportunity. He's had more opportunities. He's been in the league a little bit longer.
Yeah, been in the league a little longer. He's one step ahead kind of thing. But this will be a big year for Wilson.
If Wilson has a season like Deion Henley, you're like, okay. Now we're talking here.
And his style of play, he'll put up numbers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's going to be all over the place.
There'll be PBUs, there'll be some interceptions, there'll be fumble recoveries.
Some sacks.
Like I can't bring this up often enough. That year where their off-the-ball linebackers had zeros across the board in terms of production.
It's really hard to do.
It's really hard to do. I mean, somebody's on the field, at least you are on the field all the time.
All the time.
And the people around you are pretty good. And you couldn't get a sack or a fumble recovery.
Recovery.
Right.
Like,
the ball just bounces around and it happens to hit you. You'd land on it, Like, I think Wilson's going to do a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like the back of his
let alone the
card.
tackles for losses. Like,
yeah, it's true.
They had very few of those, too.
Yeah. Oh, they had nothing. That year was insane.
It was just like they were out there.
They were out there running around. I mean, they made some tackles. I mean, they did some good things in coverage. I mean, they weren't terrible players, but to have zero splash was insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That was 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, maybe 3.
Maybe 3.
I think it was 3.
I mean,
because that was the Robert Spillane.
I know Spillane was part of it.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, no one on this roster was part of that.
Mark Robinson.
Well, but
he was
nobody
well down the depth chart.
This was pre-Queen, pre-Holcomb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the reason why they went out and got those guys.
Right.
You can't have your inside linebackers making no plays.
No, we can't have donuts at all the major big splash categories. Sacks, fumble recoveries, fumbles forced, interceptions. It was like everything. Zeros. And can't happen.
Mr. Blutarski has no grade point average.
Exactly. That's what that was. That's a splash position.
Yeah, it really is. Let's get to another break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. We're bringing the splash every day. That's what we do. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll finish up the show right after this. And we are back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, we had a little breaking news. The Baltimore Ravens sign Derrick Henry to a 2-year, $30 million extension. $25 million of that fully guaranteed for a, 32-year-old running back?
With insane wear and tear.
Yeah.
Even like going back to high school. Like he had extreme carries.
Yeah, but nobody tackled him in high school.
He just ran little people over, I'm sure. But he was like the most productive high school running back ever. Wins a Heisman at Bama. I don't know what to make of this. Like originally when I saw that he signed,
he's 31, I'm sorry.
Okay. I originally thought probably not much guaranteed. Maybe there's some options, some funny money. Doesn't sound like that's the case at all.
$25 million fully guaranteed is not funny money.
And I know he's older than Barkley, but the Eagles kind of did this with Barkley too. Like they signed them both the same offseason and then had monster years. They won a lot of games and they reinvested in the same dude. I've doubted, this is more of a fantasy thing. I've doubted Henry for 3 years. He's going to hit a wall this year. He might just be different.
Here's the thing. He did hit a wall at one point. Early in his career, his first 3 seasons, he was sharing time.
He did not burst on the scene, right?
Yeah. 110 carries, 176 carries, 215
I think Chris Johnson was on the team at that point. Yeah. They used a second-round pick on Henry.
Then in 2019, he got 303. That led the league.
Yeah. And then it's probably been around there since.
The next year was his 2,000-yard season. He had 378 carries.
Wow. Not a lot of catches, but
not a lot of catches. But he did have, what do you have that year? 19 catches.
Okay.
So he was almost at 400 touches.
Wow.
The next season, he only played in 8 games.
He's one of those.
It was one of those things
that's what Barkley
you hit
did
that
last
number.
Year,
yeah.
Right. Because I think they went to the playoffs too. I might not even include the playoff touches.
Right. So only
that's an Arthur Smith offense, right?
Yeah, only 8 games in 2021.
Okay.
Had 219 touches that year. The next year he gets 349.
Ooh, over 300 is a lot.
Yeah. Now, in 2023, he had 280 touches. That led the NFL.
Okay.
And then last year with the Ravens, 325 touches or carries, another 19 catches. So he's almost at 350. He didn't lead the league in touches, but you just wonder.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of carries over the last, several seasons.
That last year in Tennessee, his numbers didn't blow you away, But he had me and you blocking for him. I mean, that was...
He still averaged 4.2 yards a carry.
I know. I mean, if you really dig into what he did that last year in Tennessee, it was better than you could imagine. And it doesn't look like one of his best years, but it was no help at all, no passing game. You know, the O-line was in step one of their development that's finally just completed it with the Moore signing. Him and Lamar, I mean, I don't think this takes an expert analysis here, are like two of the most unique ball carriers at their respective positions in the history of the game. I mean, his physical dimensions, his long speed, and even he isn't even like a great change of direction guy, but I mean, it's just very unique. And him and Lamar couldn't be any more different in terms of what they're like to try to stop as ball carriers.
Over the last 6 seasons, in the regular season, he has 1,854 carries. Now, I'm no mathematician, but that is over 300 per year.
300's a big
and that includes
number,
a season that he only had 219.
Right, and was injured.
And was hurt. He had 9,130 yards. He's averaged 102.6 yards rushing per game.
Per game. It's a monster.
In a 6-year span.
And the fourth quarters are better than ever. The end of the season's better than ever. I mean, it's all the stuff you want to see.
And here's the thing about it.
He's a Hall of Famer, right?
Yeah, he's a Hall. He got 11,000, over 11,000 rushing yards already.
Which isn't that high on the all-time rushing list, but compared to his contemporaries, he blows everybody.
Yeah, he's certainly climbing that list.
Yeah.
The thing about Derrick Henry, to bring this up because people were questioning Caleb Johnson's 40
Caleb
time.
Johnson. Okay.
What do you think Derrick Henry's 40 time is?
Oh, it's not good. It's 4.62.
4.54.
Really?
Caleb
and he
Johnson's
runs away from people.
Yeah, Caleb Johnson's 4.57, and people say, "Oh, he's too slow."
Yeah.
Nobody says Derrick Henry's too slow.
Because he's not.
Right, because once he's in the secondary, nobody wants to tackle him anymore.
Watch Derrick Henry on any Thursday night game against an AFC South opponent, just taking Texans and doing this to him, and Jags and doing this to him, and 80 yards down the field. Right.
The people who are saying that Caleb Johnson,
I bet he's like Caleb Johnson at a bad 10-yard split.
Yeah.
I mean, just doesn't come out of the blocks.
Is comparable to Najee Harris's 40 time. First of all, Najee Harris didn't run a 40.
On purpose.
Right. He was estimated to be like a 4.65 guy, somewhere in that range. Caleb Johnson's a tenth of a second in 40 time.
Yeah.
He's huge.
It is huge. So I know we're up against it here, but Johnson does have some sort of high school track background. I don't know, maybe through discus. I don't even know, but he ran. He did run something.
In fact, I talked to his high school coach. He did all the sprints. He was on the relay team.
And was good at it.
Yeah.
But the reason his 40 time is bad because his 10-yard split is bad, which makes me think he doesn't come out of the blocks great, which I was shocked about because I know he did run track. But maybe he hasn't practiced since high school either.
If he was on the relay team, maybe he's the last guy. He's just taking a baton.
Right.
You know, you're not the guy coming out of the blocks.
And if you're a running back that's bad out of the blocks, I don't care one bit because that's not how they line up.
And in high school, he was probably still faster than most of the guys he was running against.
Exactly.
He didn't have to work on coming out of the blocks.
But his 40 at the combine, he reached 22 miles an hour, which is really fast.
That's really fast.
It's one of the better.
I laid that out a couple of weeks ago. Like this guy has reached over 22 miles an hour on a consistent basis. There aren't many guys in the league that run that fast.
Yes. And we may laugh at this 10 years from now, and maybe even a couple years from now. His speed on the field that they monitor over and over and over is much better than his 40 time.
Yeah.
Pads, ball in his hands.
Nobody catches him, and he played the Big Ten.
Right, in cleats, in mud, that type of thing.
And this isn't your grandfather or even your father's Big Ten anymore.
No, right.
They've got Oregon in there.
They've got USC. I mean,
they get the schools that have all you got all these high profile secondary. Nobody caught him. Nobody caught him.
Nobody caught him. And Jerry Rice didn't test well. Yeah, I mean, there is something about pads and ball in your hand.
But again,
I don't think he's Chris Johnson.
Right? No, he's not that.
Right.
But nobody's ever said, "What, Derrick Henry? He's too slow."
Right. But I have heard some draft criticism of the Steelers. Yeah, Johnson's a good fit for their outside zone scheme, but they're never going to have any. They still don't have a breakaway runner. Like, I don't know. You got to watch tape. He got a lot of touchdowns.
This guy had the second most 20-yard gains in college football last year behind Ashton Genty. And nobody's questioning Ashton Genty's speed. He didn't even run.
Right. He didn't run, and that's actually the biggest concern.
He
about
might
him,
be in the same area. He might be a 4 or 5 somewhere.
Which is what Derrick Henry was.
Yeah.
You're right. So
it's plenty fast enough for a running back.
Oh, yeah. If you watch the tape, I don't think you'd ever be like, I don't know if he's fast enough.
Yeah.
I mean, to me,
I don't even know where that stuff started. Well, I kind of do, but.
I mean, the 40's not great.
Yeah.
Especially compared to the running backs in this class.
But he's also 20 pounds heavier than most of those
Bigger than those guys. I bet he plays at like 235.
Yeah.
That's where he was his pro day.
Yeah. And all those running backs that were at the combine, those guys were all weighing in at like 205.
So I have not had the luxury that you have. I haven't seen any of these human beings. I saw Harmon walk by with his family the day after he got drafted, but I haven't seen any of the draft picks. But I bet he's impressive on the hoof.
People are going to like Caleb Johnson.
I bet.
Not just because of what he's going to do in the football field. He has a personality that is very gregarious.
Okay.
He's a good talker.
Yeah.
And I think people are going to like.
But he has the body you're looking for too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure of it.
Yeah, he looks like a rocked up.
Mm-hmm. I kind of think of him like as an Eddie George.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, Eddie George
not quite as rocked up as Eddie George.
Eddie George could have been an underwear model. I mean, if you see him in person, was weird. I mean, he was 6'3", a little taller, but he could have been one of those statues in Greece.
Yeah.
I mean, that's who he was.
Yeah. I look at Arian Foster as comp, a faster version of Arian Foster.
Yeah. Take that all day long.
Yeah.
Foster's a really good career.
Pretty good, yeah.
I mean, Foster's like a top 5 fantasy pick 3 or 4 years in a row. Yeah.
Anyways, that's going to do it for our show today. So for my partner, Matt Williamson, for Justin Miller here on site running the Justin Miller hotline and the soundboard, and for Tyler Vittmeyer getting our video out there onto YouTube. Check us out there. Give us a thumbs up. I'm Dale Lolley. We'll be back tomorrow. We're going to break down the schedule. Yeah. You can listen to the schedule release show tonight. We got X Twitter Thursday. Again, that's scheduling show is tonight on WDV on the Steelers Audio Network. And, we'll be back again tomorrow, as Matt just said, with all the schedule breakdowns and X Twitter Thursday. We'll talk to you then.
Steelers football happens here. The Pittsburgh Steelers Audio Network.